welcome back to our live broadcast of musical chairs as we have Jordan back in the hot seat this time around. Alex has taken a dip to refresh, get some food, and feeling he's a little bit quite weak. That game was too quick. He should still be in here working, mate. He's slacking.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like my little bit of a break was cut short
It was a very little break.
EL Gaming, so, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Sometimes I draw the short straw, but, well, EL Gaming certainly didn't.
Oh, no, they absolutely slaughtered the Coalition doing that game. But up next, we got the DarkWolves taking on Horsemen this time around. We're expecting it to be a much more close fight.
Yes, I think it should be a little bit closer. I'm not so sure if I would.
That game was so one-sided. That was like a 99 to 1.
I know.
This is gonna be, look, 60 to 40 is close. Like this, if this one's a 90 to 10, it's much closer than 99 to 1.
Fair enough. Put it this way: instead of it being a 5-0, I think it's going to be a 5-1.
That's a lot closer.
Yeah, I guess. When you're comparing the two,
when you compare the type of games they were.
Yeah. But look, a 5-1, at least for me. I think the Horsemen coming into this one,
they look
really looking like the stronger team.
No, definitely. They look like they're going to be contesting that higher echelon of teams this season, especially. So DarkWolves, they haven't really shown us too much either. So we're kind of still a little bit indecisive of whether or not they're just off to a bad start, or maybe they're floundering a little bit this season. So Horsemen, they have a great opportunity tonight to cement themselves in that top seeds.
Yeah, they've obviously started off week 1 with a very good 2-0 result. And coming here into week number 2, they could start off with a 3-0. I think it's very likely that they should be able to get off to that 3-0. And obviously that's a great springboard for the rest of this season.
Well, let's jump in and have a look at the DarkWolves lineup and who will be taking to the battle tonight.
That's not DarkWolves.
No. That's just some tanks.
That's some tanks.
That's some tanks. That's some good old-fashioned tanks from the last game.
You know what? That's what we're all here for, though, isn't it? We're all here for the tanks.
Well, at the end of the day, it's not what type of tank they're driving. It's who's driving it. As we get the DarkWolves lineup off on your screen, and I want to see Batkong, Revolution, and Caviar go off tonight. Gomley, he had a rough one yesterday.
Look, to be fair, DarkWolves did have to go up against EL Gaming yesterday.
That's true. They got to make like Taylor Swift and shake it off.
They do have to shake it off. They do indeed, and it's going to take a fair bit of shaking, I've got to say, because
you're not wrong.
They're going from sort of one strong team onto another strong team.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a real challenge here for DarkWolves. So 14% win rate on attack, 20% on defense.
Not looking good.
It's not a great storyline so far for DarkWolves here in Season 2.
Oh, well, let's see their opponents tonight. It will be the Horsemen. Going up for them. They've got a lot of really strong players there.
Things looking a lot better on this side of the fence.
Definitely.
We've got 57% win rate on the attack, 86% on the defense, and some really good changes for this Horseman lineup as well. We thought coming into this season, we weren't too sure where they were going to be, but these changes definitely have worked out very well for them. OBOV coming into the roster, Sphinx, formerly known as Flag on EL, coming into this roster, and both of those players I think are in the top 3 in terms of the damage dealt out of this entire team. The other one being Archon, who was obviously returning from the previous Horseman roster. So it's I really feel like this Horseman lineup is going from one strength to another throughout this season, and really looking much better than they did last season, and impressing me a lot as well.
Oh, of course. Can't wait for the game where they finally go up against the juggernauts of EL and see if they can take it to them. But tonight, they have someone standing in their way. It's the DarkWolves. We've mentioned our thoughts that it may be a little bit of an uphill battle for the DarkWolves to take this one out. But we've seen what some of these tanks can do when they're going uphill, and if they can maneuver quite well enough, they might actually upset them tonight. Upset a few rounds.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, nah.
What's your prediction?
I'm going for a 5-2 in favor of Horsemen, so I'm a realist, but I do have a little drop of optimism in there.
Okay, well, I'm not quite sure I have as much of optimism as you. As I said, I thought it was going to be a 5-1. I really don't think the guys from DarkWolves are going to be able to stand up too well here to Horsemen. So, yeah, if they do manage to get 2-3 rounds, that's going to be great for them. But again, it's just not going to be enough for me. I don't think that they're even going to be able to challenge at all to get a point out of this one, because that would mean they'd have to get to 4 rounds, take it to the tiebreaker, and I just don't think that that's possible with this lineup up against this really strong-looking Horseman lineup as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Horsemen bring out for us in this week, because last week they looked, like you said, very, very strong, winning a few games in quite dominating fashion. So if they are able to continue on that trend, we'll have a real contender for that top spot at the top of the list here. And jumping into what appears to be their maps, you've got Muravanka, Steps, and Ghost Town will be our first 3. And if our predictions are all wrong, we'll be going on to Ruinberg and Cliff to go for that tiebreaker game.
Muravanka, interesting to be picked up there straight off the bat by DarkWolves. They haven't played it this season, although in saying that, neither have Horsemen, so hard to say how that one was going to go. Just a bit of a curveball, really, from DarkWolves, which could work in their favor. Maybe Horsemen haven't been practicing on that map or something like that. Steps, on the other hand, that was formerly a pretty good map for Horsemen. Ghost Town as well, we've seen come out from Horsemen a little bit last week as well. They had a pretty good time on. So I do like those two picks from Horsemen. And then rounding things out, as you said, Ruinberg. I don't see that one really going too well in the favor of DarkWolves. They didn't have a great time on it previously. And obviously Horsemen have had an okay time on Ruinberg as well this season. So yeah, look, when I look at this map pool, really the only question mark for me is that Muravanka one. I think if Horsemen can get 2-0 up on Muravanka, we'll probably see a 5-0 coming out here. Yeah,
that's the thing. Last time we saw Muravanka being used as a curveball, didn't work out too well for Team Efficiency, chucking that one at the Coalition Zoo. So hopefully DarkWolves aren't following that same train of thought and wind up in a similar precarious situation here. But like you mentioned, if Horsemen are able to get a swift early lead, I think it's just going to be a clean battle from them now.
Yeah, definitely. Last time we saw the teams play each other in Season 1, it was 5-1 in the favor of Horsemen. So I think that goes to show, again, the strength that Horsemen had. And I feel like this Horsemen roster is stronger than the previous one.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
And even the first time they played each other in Phase 1 of Season 1, it was a 5-4. Still a little bit closer than I would have thought. But again,
like we've mentioned, they've gotten stronger since then.
Exactly.
That's a long time
and
ago.
Horsemen were somewhat of a slow starter in Season 1 as well. They were very inconsistent in the first half in Phase 1. So I think, again, like I just don't think DarkWolves are going to have enough here to really challenge the Horsemen.
Look, that's just one of the great things on having the series like this, where we can look back and look at past results and how these teams have been improving over time. The Horsemen, definitely a complete step up from Season 1. They're going to be coming into this week number 2, day number 2, really looking to make their mark on the league.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, like I said, they've started off well. They've got a pretty good springboard, but if they can really consolidate how they've played last week into this week, then I definitely think we're going to see Horsemen challenging for, even maybe second, third position here, because Meltdown, again, they don't seem infallible to me at the moment. They're not impossible to defeat. Sure, they're looking pretty good. Karen Tiger, we've already seen Horsemen take them down, and they're another one of those teams that has looked pretty good throughout this season. And then really the other real question for Horsemen is going to be when they go up against Team Efficiency, how they do in that matchup.
Yeah, there's a lot of contenders for that upper echelon of slots in the ladder so far. So if these teams can keep up their, if Horsemen especially can keep up their consistency that they've shown us in the first few days, and there's no reason that they can't contest that number 2 spot quite efficiently.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of a stretch for anyone to say they're going to be contending that number 1 position, but obviously there's always a bit of a sort of
vying for
a
second.
peloton, I suppose that's what it's called, right? In bike racing, when there's you've got the leader, and then you've got the peloton behind that. But anyway, digressing a little bit there, but still, look, it's a really close season. I'm a little bit disappointed maybe to see B Gaming not having a great season.
I know, it's been a real
If they were
upset.
up there, then there'd be really, just another one in that top 4, 5, 6 sort of positions, which is going to be such a struggle for these teams. It's very competitive at the moment.
Yeah, it just feels like 4 consecutive upsets for B Gaming right now, where they haven't seemed to find their footing once in any of their games. So hopefully they do get back on form. Like you mentioned, we'll then have another runner in the race. But tonight, EL really looking to cement themselves. We'll see what they've decided to go with for tanks. Horsemen. A very strong lineup there. A lot of bat shots.
A lot of bat chats for the T125 in the IS-7. I do like that on the defensive side. Good hull down. Decent gun depression from the T125. They're going to be very happy to be fighting here on Muravanka in those tanks. But a couple of Emil 2s coming out from DarkWolves and a very, very heavy bat chat, heavy lineup. So I think it could be a quick sort of a strategy here from DarkWolves, right in towards that flag, get those bat chats in a fight early. But we'll have to see what turns out here, because if those bat chats and the Emils choose the wrong times to fire and they come onto the reload at the wrong times, then that's when these guys on Horsemen are going to be able to punish them with the IS-7 and the T125.
Well, keep in mind, that's how we saw Coalition Zoo take a round off Team Efficiency in day number 1, was that really fast, aggressive strat onto the 1 flag. And it looks like they could be doing something similar right now. Spitz, Bakong, and Revolution both just hauling it over there with Yui backing them up.
Yui. It's kind of like Kui.
Look how much of the minimap he takes up. So inconsiderate.
It's like, what, 4 squares almost? That's like, it's a lot. Anyway, it is, as we expected, going to be a pretty quick run in towards the cap from DarkWolves. Actually, the Emils leading the charge there. So going to get themselves hull down, or at least Lambert will, trying to get some points on that cap timer. Gomley starting to I guess, contest that hill just a little bit, but he's probably not going to have the easiest of times up against an IS-7.
Yep, Gorilla's spotted him out as well as Lambert now, but they don't know that the rest of DarkWolves are lurking in wait. Ready to strike. You can see from Gorilla's POV, he only has 2 members in his sight. Doesn't know where the rest of them are, just kind of scoping out along the ridge, seeing if anyone pops up their heads just yet. Eventually, Horsemen are going to be forced to go for a reset, but not for another minute and a half, so they have a lot of time to play with here. It's on DarkWolves. When do they want to spring the trap?
Yeah, and this is basically the trap that you were talking about. These 3 bat chats just hanging around here on that 3 line or on that 2 line and waiting for the perfect time to strike. So we'll see very shortly, I got to say. I think those guys are starting to make their move. OBOV takes a shot from somebody, probably Lambert or Gomley in one of those email 2s.
Caviar lining up some shots as well.
This is a good spot for Caviar, actually, because if the Horsemen want to try and reset that 1 cap and they want to send some bat chats around through the town, Caviar here is going to be able to get some shots into the back of the bat chats. So I do like this setup here from DarkWolves, but it's really going to come down to the execution of those bat chats. If they choose the right time to spring the trap, or if they choose the incorrect time, then that's where things are going to get a little bit difficult. But we did just see a reset coming out. OBOV having no problems at all, firing HE in the direction of Lambert, getting the easy resets. And I think DarkWolves might need to rethink their strategy off the back of this, because it's going to be difficult to remove OBOV from that position. He hasn't taken any damage really just yet. He gets tracked there, but doesn't take any damage for it. And he's going to start to be aware of, those bat chats. Because he's taking shots from them, he'll know that there's those bat chats in that position, and Horsemen are going to start to position themselves accordingly. Yeah,
they really have Spencer down at that 2 flag, keeping it a kind of a solo watch right now. They've rotated into great positions if they do need to act in time to counteract what DarkWolves are doing. But like we mentioned, it's a very slow start. We hope to see a little bit of action here coming out of all the bat shots that DarkWolves brought to the table. OBOV taking a few pop shots on himself this time around, but nothing too worrisome at the moment. But maybe that is a Spitz just destroys him. Eliminated, mate.
That is unacceptable. That's not good. Surely that can't happen. Oh, my word. DarkWolves. Well, now we have a game on our hands.
Out of nowhere, that felt like.
That was insane.
Now Gorilla, the onus is on him to make the play and go for the resets here, but Gomley will be watching him. He's trying to look over the peak, can't find it though. Gomley now in a great position to return fire should Gorilla stay a little bit too far forward. But still, we have the 3 bat shots waiting just over the wings there for Horsemen to overextend even the slightest bit. But here comes Gorilla.
Yeah, Gorilla is going to have to be the one to get the reset now that OBOV is down. Not going to be too difficult to get a reset.
Good shot.
Very easy to pen the hull of an email 2, but now the IS-7 taking some shots for his own. The bat chats starting to get involved here for the DarkWolves.
The cavalry has arrived and they're going in fast and heavy. Lambert goes down to Hawks, but Batkong now a huge shot onto the side there. Gorilla, he's still somehow alive. Nandasu takes out Batkong, and Gorilla, he's surviving in the thick of the fight. He should be able to get one more shot off here unless Spitz can get the early detection shot, but that's another 500 down onto Gomley. Revolution goes down as Archon picks up that. Now Spitz, Gomley, and Yui in a terrible position. Luckily, Caviar, he's got his sniper goggles on today and was able to take out someone over on the sides here, but it's a 4v4 at the moment. The health pool still massively in favor of DarkWolves.
It definitely is, but now the player advantage in the favor of Horsemen, and Spitz here with only a couple of shells left in his clip.
One, though.
He is going to be able to take down Gorilla, who did tank quite a few shells, or bounced quite a few shells early on in that fight. So he did a really good job and might have been enough to actually bring Horsemen back into a competitive position here, but it just looks like they're not quite going to have enough to close things out.
Yeah, DarkWolves, just that early kill onto OBOV, paying dividends this time around. It forced the hand of Horsemen to get in and break their setup, and you saw all of a sudden the cavalry, the backup DarkWolves just single file over the hill. Yui, Spitz, and Revolution just coming in, saving the day along with Batkong. Made it look easy.
I gotta say though, even though DarkWolves picked up the win there, it still didn't really fill me with all that much confidence. They did look a little bit sloppy when they were trying to take down that IS-7. Quite a few shells bounced off the front, even off the side of the IS-7, which they needed to connect, and it could have been enough to maybe throw things awry there for DarkWolves. They were a little bit lucky even to get that initial kill onto OBOV. It's not every day that you get a free ammo rack like that.
Yeah,
and
that was insane. That was like 1.2k.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's a little bit unlucky for Horsemen there to have that happen to them. So I don't think they're going to be too worried by that. Obviously, they're going to be down. You know, they're going to be feeling, oh, you know, that's a shame that OBOV got ammo rack there. But really, when you think about it, it's by no fault of his own. So even though DarkWolves picked that one up, long story short, I still am not confident about them here.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to take away from this game is it's no fault of his own. There's nothing he could have done to prevent that. He was doing fine. He was getting the resets. He was in a perfect position. Just unfortunately, World of Tanks decided that today was not his day to survive a few too many shots from the Batchat. So obviously these guys are going to be feeling fine going into the next game, just chalking that one up to a little bit of bad RNG on their side.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a bad situation here for Horsemen. I did say I thought if it got up to a 2-0, then Horsemen were going to be able to sweep the rest of this series. So now for me, I think it's going to be a 5-1, really. And that was my prediction initially. That, for me, is the only round that the guys on DarkWolves are going to get. They got it with a little bit of luck, but I think Horsemen should be good enough here. You could almost see Horsemen were able to bring it back there.
Yeah,
very close.
They made it competitive.
But not quite enough.
They just didn't have the health pool to work with. And we're going to have a quick look at some of the replays of that game. Hopefully, we get to see poor OBOV take a huge one to the chest. And this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, 1,075 in one shot from a Batchat. He could have tanked at least 3 more shells there.
You're not wrong.
And, you know, that could have been enough really to change things. And have a look at this Gorilla. He does take a fair bit of damage from the emails, but a few shots bouncing. Lambert just bounced one there. One of the Batchats that comes in later on in the piece as well bounces another shell off him. And it's just not quite enough. And, you know, if DarkWolves want to really... See, there's the bounce. If they really want to be competitive here, another one comes out of Yui. If they really want to be competitive, they need to be hitting those shots and connecting them. You know, you can't let the IS-7 survive for that long. He was on such low HP, and I think he got 2 or 3 shots off when he was 1 shot worth of HP left from dead.
And look at Sphinx. You can tell the XEL player putting in work, dishing out the numbers. 4K damage from 10 shots alone. Yui and Spitz not far behind him.
Yeah, Sphinx was actually the top damage dealer for Horsemen last week. Just slightly ahead of Archon, who I think was about 200 damage behind him over the entire week. But yeah, definitely a good change for Horsemen. He has been working out very well for them. And, you know, when we talked about this match, when we were doing our prep for this one, we really identified Sphinx as kind of almost a star player for this roster now that the likes of Feluso have departed from this one.
True.
He was always the one we used to talk about, and now it seems like we're talking a little bit more about Sphinx, Archon, and even OBOV to an extent, who unfortunately didn't get much done in that game, but he had some good resets early on in the piece.
He was doing his job, that's the thing.
That's right,
But unfortunately, like we said, the RNG gods just weren't on his side this time around, so going into the next game, I'm sure that's something you can very easily brush off unless you are prone to tilt, because that's a very tilting moment right
I'm sure it is, yeah, but I don't think they're, as I said,
they've been around for long enough to unlock.
And moving on to the attacking side here now for Horsemen, I think they're going to be okay. They'll just be able to really dictate the pace of the game, maybe get into that cap quickly and catch DarkWolves off guard like what just happened to them.
Well, that's the thing. It was a very EL-esque strategy. You saw they baited with a few of the tanks, and all of a sudden the 3 Batchats just came in, and they didn't relent until the round was theirs.
Yeah, definitely. And, again, I just keep going back to it. A little bit unlucky, really, for Horsemen, but it wasn't a terrible setup. They had a very good defensive setup. It looked like they knew what they were doing on the map, and it seemed like they were pretty comfortable, and just some things just didn't quite go their way.
They had all the tanks in the correct positions, expecting for that one flag push to come through, and they only had one guy sitting on the 2 flags, so never were they in danger of not having the correct amount of armor and the correct amount of positions. So once again, it just, unfortunately for OPOV, there's not a lot he could have done.
Yeah, I'm wondering a little bit now what DarkWolves are going to be doing on the second half of this one, because they are a team that does every now and then pick up, artillery, M4043, Lorraine, they like that kind of thing, and Muravanka is a map which it can be quite powerful on, so I wonder if we'll see them grabbing that through into this second round here.
I would like to. I'd like to see them open up their reserves a little bit more and kind of show us why, a little bit of their own star. Because, like I said, what they did there was a little bit EL-esque. I want to be able to say that was DarkWolves-esque. I want to have them throw their own spin on the game. But to go no further, we'll have a look at the tank lineups to see what DarkWolves will be bringing to the table.
Well, no artillery, but they do have a Kranwagen, so that's a little bit of something.
That's the only thing they got that's not a Batchat.
Yeah, real. Well, Batchat APs or Batchat, take your pick for the DarkWolves. Horsemen at least do have a bit of a heavy lineup, I suppose, coming in with those 113. Yep. So, again, it's going to be a very similar situation to the last one for DarkWolves. They need to choose the correct time to go in with these autoloaders, and they need to make worth what they can do in those Batchats, because if they take the wrong time, if they bounce too many shells, miss too many shells, and don't get the kills they need in that initial flurry, then Horsemen are going to start to pull ahead with those 113s that can continue firing when the Batchats are reloading.
DarkWolves taking out the first round of the series so far, and if you're like-minded with Jordan over here, you think it's the only game that they're going to take, but Horsemen, you're looking to bounce back strong from this one already. We're seeing a massive push coming on to that one flag straight out the gate as Horsemen starting to cap it with 2 tanks.
Yeah, not too surprising here from the Horsemen. They always, at least last season, did tend to favor relatively aggressive strategies. Towards the end of last season, I think they started to slow things down and try and sort of play a little bit of a different style, but this is sort of the tried and true Horsemen starting to shine through here, where they get on quickly, they try and take the fight to their opponent and really force their hand of the DarkWolves here. And you can see it's not worked out too nicely for the DarkWolves at all, but here come the bat chats.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick one right now. OBOV gets the initial kill onto Spitz, a little bit of revenge from the last round, so he's feeling good about that one. Spencer's going very low as well as Sphinx. Spencer goes down, Sphinx, he's in a little bit of trouble, but Lambert on 12 HP right now. How is he still alive? Backong goes down from Hawks, and they're just trading shots left, right, and center. Gorilla gets the ram kill onto Caviar, making him pay for that one. Archon, once he's off the reload, should have no trouble taking out Lambert, turns him into scrap metal as DarkWolves. They are running for the hills right now, and they're not long for this world.
Yeah, the DarkWolves hightailing it out of there, and this is when the Horsemen roster does start to sort of pull ahead with those 113s. You can see them continually firing along. OBOV unfortunately missing the shot there, but it is going to be looking like a win here for the Horsemen. I mean, the DarkWolves, they got a couple of kills, but look at this. Their focus fire just wasn't there. 3 kills. Could have been there for them. There are 3 tanks on the Horseman lineup that are 1 shot away from death, and not even 1 shot. Like, you could have rammed them and they would have died. But the DarkWolves just weren't able to connect the shots where they needed to, and that is the problem with this kind of a lineup. When you take so many autoloaders, if you don't make that initial fight work, then you basically lose.
Yeah, they got the great initials onto Sphinx and Gorilla, taking them down to very, very low HPs, but Horsemen, they were able to capitalize by actually getting the kills. So it doesn't matter that Gorilla and Sphinx below 100, because the rest of the team were able to capitalize, and as you can see, they're not even going to try and hunt down the last remaining member on Yui. They are just going to capture the point, take it in.
I think Archon's trying to chase that damage down, because I told him earlier on yesterday that he actually got out damaged by Sphinx last week, and he was a little bit, he was not happy with that. He was like, oh, I thought I out damaged him, and so I said, no, you were about 200 damage behind, so you know he's chasing down that little bit of extra damage, trying to one-up him this week. But at the moment, like we saw from the battle stats from last round, well, Sphinx is well ahead at the moment.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if the teams can keep it fun amongst themselves, they'll have a much better time playing the game. It's always great when you don't take it too seriously. You got to take it a little bit seriously, but you're going to remember at the end of the day we're all playing games to have fun. And if you're not having fun with the game, what are you doing with yourself, mate? But a very convincing round coming out of Horsemen that looked like theirs from start to finish.
Exactly. It's a good little bit of a bounce back from that one. OBOV getting the initial kill, I'm sure would have been nice for him as well. Like you said, that little bit of revenge.
As well, got the revenge.
Yeah. So that would have felt good, and I think that's going to get the momentum just well back in the favor of Horsemen here. It was DarkWolves' map pick on Muravanka there.
True.
So a 1-1 for Horsemen I think is very much acceptable.
Well, coming into the next time, we'll have to see if they can just continue this dominating streak and go with 4-0 to make your prediction correct here, or if the DarkWolves can bounce back and take a few more rounds, because we've seen when their luck is on their side, they do know what to do with an advantage, because we saw yesterday some teams kind of just don't really know what to do when they have that lead.
Yeah.
So being able to capitalize on advantage is one thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think moving on to the second map in the pool steps, it is Horseman's pick.
Okay.
I think they're going to be very comfortable on that map. You know, lots of room to maneuver. Very, in a way, similar to Muravanka. You know, you get a lot of bat chats on that map. You get a lot of 113s, that kind of thing. And I think that's going to work out quite nicely for Horsemen. So really, I'm not too worried about the next map. And even Ghost Town, we did see some good performances from Horsemen last week on that map as well against Karen Tiger, you know, who, to me, are a much stronger team than DarkWolves. So I just don't think that Horsemen are going to have too many difficulties here.
I think you're right, but let's jump back into Muravanka one last time to have a look at how that game went down. It was a very fast and quick one, but already you can see it was looking bad for the DarkWolves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, here you go. You see Sphinx get dropped very low. You see Hawks get dropped very low. And I mean, Hawks is in the middle of the fight there. Gorilla's in the middle of the fight. They're very low on HP, but he just doesn't go down. And that's the trouble, really, for the DarkWolves there. If they were able to convert those few remaining kills, they would have probably been able to win that one. But this time it's OBOV up the top for the Horsemen, Archon as well, and Sphinx. So the top 3 damage dealers.
Your boy Archon out damage dealing him, though.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's got to be feeling good about that one.
Yep. Those are the 3 guys that you really look to on this Horseman roster to be doing the damage. And if they're up the top, then I think the roster's working the way it needed to be.
That's exactly right, because you got to, in every roster, you need to have your designated roles. So if the damage dealers are being free to deal their damage, you got to remember it's not just them playing out of their minds. They're allowed to deal this much damage because the other 4 players on the team are doing their jobs perfectly. They're either setting them up, they're corralling the enemy around, they're taking the shots, they're doing what's needed to allow for their star players to shine. So it's a massive props to everyone on that roster. Even you, Spencer.
Yep, even Spencer. He's always the one that's playing the tier 8 or the tier 9 tank, so obviously I guess
someone's got to do it.
Yeah, gimping himself a little bit so that the other guys can succeed, and I think he does a pretty good job of it, to be honest there. Horsemen at the moment succeeding quite well. 1-1 at the moment. It's probably not where we would have thought things were going to go.
Yeah.
I probably would have thought Horsemen might have started off a little bit better, but you know what? It's not too bad overall for the Horsemen.
We'll see if they can continue on with this momentum. Obviously, that early loss setting them back just a wee bit, but coming into the next match, like you said, steps very similar to Muravenka here, so we're going to be seeing a lot of wide open hill-based combat. If they can utilize that same level of aggression they did on the round number 2 of Muravenka, then there's no reason they can't just completely run away with this series.
Yeah, definitely. We actually haven't seen Horsemen play on steps so far last week, or in this entire season, really. So that does leave a little bit up in the air for them, but from memory, at least in Season 1, they were quite good on it. They didn't necessarily tend to use the boosts all that much.
Okay.
You know, B Gaming were really, for me, the ones that were well known for the boost. B Gaming and Team Efficiency, I think, were the ones that were the best boost users, or the climb users, I suppose, on steps. But we'll see what Horsemen can do here. Spencer probably going to be taking away, I'd say, an RU251. We'll see if he goes for a boost, something like that. But yeah, look, I just think Horsemen here are going to have, again, another very good time. If they get in those bat chats, they get that aggressive early push on and really take the fight to DarkWolves. I think their mechanical skill and their aiming ability, all that sort of thing, are just going to be able to pull them above their opponents.
You saw that DarkWolves, they like to play a little bit reserved here, lay some traps, bait in the enemy team, and then it's time to strike. So if they are able to get into these kind of wars of attrition where both teams have a long time to set up their strategy, plan out their next moves, and really play the game like chess, then maybe DarkWolves can get back into it. But if Horsemen, they just, pull the trigger immediately, force DarkWolves to act, force DarkWolves to think, oh my god, okay, we got to go now, make their shot caller get a little bit hasty in his decisions, then it should be very difficult for them to stay at that level of composure that we know they like to play in.
Potentially, yeah. I think if DarkWolves were to come out of this one straight out the gate and get onto the cap very quickly, it would be maybe a little bit of a surprise here for the Horsemen.
Okay, yep.
DarkWolves are actually starting off on the attacking side, so they do have that option to dictate the pace of the game, something that I always like to talk about, you know, getting in there quickly. And maybe if that comes out here, Horsemen will be a little bit rattled like we saw there on Muravenka. But again, it is steps. It is a pretty good map for the Horsemen, somewhat of a home map, I suppose, for them, it feels like. I definitely think that they should be able to pull this one off 2-0, regardless of how DarkWolves are playing. I
feel like you're right on the money with that one. Horsemen just looking so damn strong. Their accuracy seems to be on point after that second half of Muravenka. And going on to steps, like you said, very similar. You got a lot of hills, you got a lot of wide open terrain. Accuracy reigns supreme here, but we're going to see what they'll be rolling out onto the field with here. And Horsemen, a couple bat shots, a couple
artillery on both sides here. Horsemen picking up the M4043, Lorraine for the DarkWolves on attack. So that is something that I don't think we've actually seen at all. Even last season, I'm pretty sure every time it would have just been only the single artillery on one side of the map. So we'll see what happens here for the guys on Horsemen and DarkWolves. If maybe they go for some counter arty.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily a viable strategy here in WGL, but we shall wait and see. Really, apart from that, their lineup's very similar. Just a TVP, the difference.
See who, which lineup favors who at this stage, because we're jumping in to the second map of the series. The third round, we're currently tied up 1-1. DarkWolves got us out the gate early, but Horsemen answered with a very convincing round here, and they're looking to answer with 2 more. As you can see, a pretty even split coming from DarkWolves as they keep Yui, Batcong, and Revolution just to the bottom side of the map, while the remaining 4 going to be kind of that front-lined offense.
Archon spotted out Caviar there, so that's a small amount of information for Horsemen, but really, it's nothing that they can play off. They've only spotted out 1 tank, so yeah, you could be like, okay, maybe there's 1 tank over there, and that could mean they're pushing towards the 2 flag, but it's really not enough solid information.
Yeah.
You needed to spot out a couple more of those tanks, specifically the heavy tanks, because they are not the ones that can rotate as quickly. So if you had maybe spotted out Gomli or Lambert, that might have given Horsemen a bit of a better indication as to what was going on there. But I think we're having a look at the point of view of Batcong at the moment in the Lorraine. Just having a look at Archon, who's currently spotted.
It's a little bit difficult to tell who's who. I think because we can see all the Horsemen players on the map, this might be Spencer.
Yeah, hard to say.
Usually we have that little hint at the bottom. But yeah, just getting confirmation that
seems strange that he would be having a look, though, at Archon. I don't know, maybe just checking out
just
what
like
his teammate's doing.
Keep it
Big brother is watching.
That's it, right? Saying, if you do anything stupid, you're going to pay for it. I'll make sure of it.
Yeah, this one's definitely Batcong in that Lorraine.
Looking for something here, and not going to find anything unless they can get an early spot out. But judging by the minimap, you can see a lot of the DarkWolves players really playing to that 0 line and going strong for that 2 cap here.
They've all been spotted out, so this is the time when the M4043 might start to get involved in the fight, but they are moving relatively quickly, and I think he was pre-aimed more up towards like the G9 area as opposed to down here in this little valley. Archon needs to be so careful up there. If he gets spotted out, he is in a difficult position. At the moment, though, he's sitting pretty okay. DarkWolves have no idea that he's there, and he's getting so many spots, and Horsemen have so much information now, they're going to know exactly what's going on for the DarkWolves.
Nundasu spotting him out.
You
can see a good arty shot, not too much though. That's going to be a very long reload time here, just narrowly nicking the side of him. Nundasu going to be able to back away from that one quite easily here and still up in the corner, getting all the spots. This is looking bad for DarkWolves.
If he can stay there until the late stages of this fight and pop out from the back with an entire clip, he is going to have a great time. And yeah, Lambert and Gomley, I think for me, have probably just gone a little bit too good. Oh, there's another ammo rack!
You've come to the wrong neighborhood, mate. You just got absolutely ripped apart. The horses kick onto the wolves. They go down. Gomley and Lambert fall
Archon's still unspotted. He's still unspotted.
MVPing the heck out of this round because information is king right now for the Horsemen, and they're using every last bit of it to perfection. Revolution will be the next one to fall as Sphinx picks him up. Only 4 players left on the map for DarkWolves. Nearly make it 2 as Yui and Caviar take 2 massive hits to their name.
Yeah, that could not have gone really any much better.
They finally see Archon and thinking, oh crap, that's where he was.
He's taken, or he's used his entire clip there. He's just getting out, reloading now, but that could not have gone better really for the Horsemen. That artillery shot just not quite landing, but look, the hammer rack to start things off there for Horsemen. Archon as well, remaining unspotted and spotting the entire enemy team. He would have got, I would say, the whole clip into the back of one of those DarkWolves tanks, and at the moment, Horsemen haven't even lost a player.
The Caviar just went down. Yui and Spitz about to fall. They do get the return kill onto Hawk, so it's not all bad just yet. They are going to be able to pad their stats even just a little bit here. Spitz, he finally goes down as Gorilla, gets that shot across the map. Yui, the next one to fall.
Archon's on fire.
So all Batcon can do is get a nice bird's eye view of his impending doom.
Given that he's in a French tank, their food item is a coffee. Why was he not just throwing the coffee on the fire? I don't know. Maybe you don't need a fire extinguisher anymore.
Look, you might be onto something here, John.
Maybe. Wargaming, please.
That's just a waste of coffee.
Wargaming, please.
You expect a Frenchman? It's no wine.
So what you think? He's just heating up the coffee with the fire.
He's heating up the coffee. He's thinking, may as well boil the brew while I'm here, while the fire's there.
Perfect. Well, anyway, Horsemen pick up a very convincing win there. Everything went right for them. Archon, sublime. In that Bat Chat knew exactly what he needed to do, that he didn't have to fire, that he could just sit there, spot out all of those tanks, and then pounce when he needed to. And I guess the ammo rack was just the cherry on the cake for them. A little bit of revenge for the first round.
Right? But no, they looked really strong. And Archon, kind of the MVP of that round, just sitting up on that little vantage point, spotting out and relaying all the necessary information to his team. We saw with our nice, beautiful God vision, the 2 players of DarkWolves coming over that hill into their impending doom as 4 members of the Horsemen just charged them down and ran them out.
Exactly. That was the problem really there for the DarkWolves, is that those 113s, they thought that they were, they knew that they got spotted, but maybe they thought they got unspotted. They thought they were safe there for the moment.
It's a difficult position to be in because you're getting spotted. You don't know where you're getting spotted from.
And you don't know how long you're spotted for. As long as you don't get unspotted and then respotted, you maybe think, oh, I'm unspotted now, but he was still spotted, right? Anyway, those 113s pushed forward. They felt like they were safe, but they were just far too far ahead of their bat chats. They were out of position. They got collapsed upon by the Horsemen, and at the end of the day, it was really just quite an easy cleanup for the Horsemen on the defense there.
Yeah, that was such an action-packed game, so I'm sure we have some action-packed replays for you guys, and straight away you can see just what we're talking about.
How big was it? How big was it? 1,050 there. That's a pretty good one. Nundes will take that. I'll take that.
Oh, definitely, especially after the first map. You take what you can get at that stage, and as you can see, OBOV putting up the damage, and Nandasu Gorilla Archon beating out Sphinx once again. He's probably got a big goofy grin on his face right now.
It helps for Nandasu there when you get one shot that does 1,000 damage. He's popped himself up a little bit higher on the damage charts there. Slightly out-damaged by OBOV, but look, again, another solid performance as a team from the Horsemen, really all contributing to that one. And I suppose not so great for the DarkWolves there to see the Lorraine with the most damage done out of your entire team. You know, when you've got a bunch of bat chats, a bunch of TVPs, you really want to be seeing them out-damage the Tier 8 artillery, which for a Tier 8 artillery isn't necessarily renowned for its big damage potential.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted a big damage artillery, the M4043 is the one. But the Lorraine was the one to get the majority of the damage for the DarkWolves. And yeah, it's just a sorry state of affairs on the second half of the scoreboard here for DarkWolves.
There you can see none of them really putting up any impressive results right there. Both the bat chats just failing to hit their marks, and it all comes back to being spotted out the entire time and running into head first 2 players straight into a complete army that the Horsemen were packing at that stage.
Lambert only got 1 shot off.
Yeah, before he was completely sent to the dumps, turned into scrap metal here.
So DarkWolves will be moving over to the defensive side now. A good performance from Horsemen on the attack there. I feel like they're really comfortable here on steps, and I think they should be able to show us something good on the attack. Now, bearing in mind, DarkWolves did have a pretty good time last week on steps. They actually won both of the games that they played, or both of the rounds that they played on that one. But they probably just aren't going to have enough here against the Horsemen.
Yeah, really hoping that they can keep up some level of aggression that we've seen, because the Horsemen, they did a great job that round of getting the spots and then doing the correct play with the information, because you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it, then you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs, not getting anything done. So if the position kind of shows itself to the DarkWolves, do they know what to do with that information?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a question that we have to see coming out here on the defensive side. And one thing that I want to mention, I think, about the Horsemen is that, you know, last season we saw them always get off to pretty good starts, or they had really close series against some of the better teams, and they just didn't seem to have quite enough firepower to get over the line. But this season so far, it definitely seems like they've really upped themselves in that sort of element. OBOV coming into this roster, he's been very good. Sphinx coming into this roster, he's been very good. So I think those two, the additions of those two to this roster have really given the guys on EO Game enough firepower to be able to pull off the wins that they should have been getting last season.
It's always great to see what a few heavy hitters in the roster can really do for your team, because you think there's so much that goes into a game. There's strategy, there's planning, there's communication, but if you have the players that can just hit those shots that a lesser player may have missed, it just brings so much to the table. So it's so great to see Sphinx, Archon, and OBOV really putting up the damage numbers.
Yeah, now the question, I guess, remains, what is DarkWolves going to do on the attack here? They're down 2-1. It's not, you know, the end of the world just yet. This series is definitely still within their grasp. But if they lose this one, go down 3-1, that's when things start to get a little bit worrisome. You know, Horsemen will be within striking range, so I think this is a very important round for the grand scheme of the entire series.
Well, we'll have to see, because both teams running an artillery that time around. We'll have to see if they continue up with that trend, or if DarkWolves have a different plan coming in to their attack side. Because we've seen some interesting team compositions yesterday and today. So who knows what to expect at this stage,
I mean, like those E50s coming out earlier today, that was a bit interesting on mines. But time to find out what tanks we're going to be seeing coming out here from DarkWolves and the Horsemen. It is going to be another artillery. DarkWolves this time on the defense, opting to take the M4043 as opposed to the Lorraine. And the Horsemen with a very similar lineup, just changing out the artillery for the 1390 and adding an extra bat chat in favor of the 113. But yeah, like both of these rosters, Horsemen are going to be quick around the map. Lots of mobility on that one. Even the 113 is quite a quick, heavy tank. Yeah. So they're going to be playing that mobility game.
I really feel like Horsemen that once they kind of set the pace of the game, they're not going to let up till it's over. So the onus is really on to DarkWolves to mount a sturdy defense here.
Yeah, and the trouble with the DarkWolves here is that because they got that M4043, they don't have someone that they can put up on that two-flag boost. So they will need to make good use of that M4043. They'll also really need to put a little bit more of a defense over towards that two-flag than they maybe ordinarily would. So Horsemen are probably going to be aware of that, but they are actually headed in the direction of the two-flag for the moment. Spencer's done a really good job of getting in there and getting lots of spots without himself being spotted as well. He's managed to sneak his way into the bush at F6, and Revolution, Gomley, Caviar, Lambert, I think even Spitz got spotted out there. So almost the entire DarkWolves roster has been lit by the Horsemen.
Now that's something that I feel like is a consistent disadvantage for the DarkWolves. Every time we watch Horsemen, they're always getting the spots out first on multiple members. Is it DarkWolves not taking the correct routes here? Are they setting up in the wrong spots, or is it just like an encumbrance of both?
Well, that was actually just a really good scouting run, I think, from Spencer. He got quite quickly into that aggressive position. Maybe he got a good spawn for it, something like that, but that's not typically a scouting run that we tend to see a lot. So I don't think DarkWolves would have necessarily been too prepared for that one.
Sure.
But now we're going to start to see Horsemen making their way in towards that 2 flag.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a huge 2 flag push here. It's all going to be onto Bakong, whether he can get some big splash damage shots down as they're grouped up in this narrow corridor. You can see Spencer averaging about 1k damage, 1 kill per game, and if he's doing a majority of the scouting, that's impressive stuff.
Average of 28 damage blocked. That's not really that great, but given the fact that he is playing in those tier 8s the majority of the time, if not just a tier 9 bat chat, you're not expecting him to get too much damage blocked per game.
Oh, Nundasu takes a huge shot to the chest. He's getting further and further lower. Caviar takes him out. That's great for the DarkWolves coming into this round.
Yeah, not a good start at all here for the Horsemen. They're playing a tank down. They're playing well over almost about 1,000 HP in deficit. And now we really have to see someone from the Horsemen step up here. OBOV is in a lot of trouble. Lambert, though, he might have gotten a little bit too aggressive here. He's going to get pounced upon by those bat chats. OBOV, in the meanwhile, putting some damage across to the DarkWolves too.
Well, great focus fire coming out of Horsemen. They know their targets and they know who to shoot. Yui, maybe the first victim for the Horsemen. 2 at once go down. The DarkWolves in a terrible spot right now. It's Horsemen with their superior targeting and focus fire are able to completely shut down this DarkWolves push, but it's not over yet. As Sphinx falls to Caviar. The fight continuing on here. Hawks and Gonley just trading paint right now. Gorilla, did he get the accidental team shot here? Hawk, he's on 6 HP, single digits. Caviar just needs to run.
Oh, Caviar missed!
He misses the shot. That is crucial, but Hawks, he's on a long reload time, so it isn't going to matter too much. It's a 4 versus 5 right now. DarkWolves, they have the man advantage. Caviar just going to block shots for Gonley, but Gorilla, he curves the shot, takes him down now. Caviar in the firing lines now. Where are the rest of his team? OBOV doesn't need more than a notion to take him out. DarkWolves, where are your army? Bakong all the way at the back in the artillery, not hitting the shots anymore. Spitz and Revolution down to a slither of health apiece, and somehow the Horsemen turn it around.
I think that was the problem for the DarkWolves there. What you mentioned with the M4043, for me,
he gets one.
It was OBOV who was on barely any HP anyway. That's a good kill though. Spencer going down for Spitz. It's now 2 versus 3. In saying that though, DarkWolves don't have that much HP to play with. Archon gets the kill onto Spitz, and now Revolution is going to get the trade. But Gorilla, in this sort of a situation, he should be able to close this one out.
Run! He's absolutely hauling it right now. Gorilla only needs 1 shot to get him. He doesn't miss here. This should be a quick cleanup, unless, of course, Bakong can pull a miracle out.
I don't know. Bakong might be off the reload here, but I don't think he's going to be able to turn around
Gorilla
in time.
misses a shot.
It's going to have to be something of a miracle here for Bakong. I mean, this is not a great situation for him in the artillery. Yeah, it's all over. I'm sorry. It's all gone wrong. Well, not quite. Let's hold the press.
Let's hold
Fade the music away. Turn the music away. We're not done yet.
Oh, they're just trading paint at this stage. Bakong.
There we go.
Play us out, guys. Play us out from that one. What an impressive turnaround by the Horsemen. They lose one straight off the bat, and all of a sudden, superior firepower and focus allow them to take away that round.
Yeah, that was a little bit interesting at the end there, but it was a pretty comfortable one, actually, all said and done, really, for Horsemen. I have to wait and see what the damage stats come out there. I want to see what the M4043 did, but I do think the M4043 was the difference there. If they maybe had a couple of Batchat APs or even an RU251 instead of that M4043, an RU251 up on the boost there would have made so much more of a difference than the M4043.
That's a game-winning play right there.
You saw how long OBOV lasted in that 113 on almost no HP, and he just needed 1 shot to go into him. There was a couple more missed shots as well from DarkWolves, so the mechanics weren't quite there from them. And again, Horsemen just able to take advantage of those small mistakes and pull off the win.
Now that's the type of win we mentioned early on in this series. When something goes wrong, when it's just RNG, you can just brush it off. But that's one of the losses where you have every advantage. And we said a team that doesn't know how to capitalize on their advantages can be a major weakness here. So hopefully they aren't going to get too phased by that one and come into the next round strong enough.
Yeah, let's have a look at the replays and see where things went wrong there for DarkWolves, because they did get off to a great start, but just I think they might have fired way too many shells into OBOV, and he's just trundling along. Another thing which I didn't mention during the game, but was actually quite important, is Spitz and Revolution in that TVP and the bat chat both had dead drivers. And because of that, Revolution, really, you can see how slow he's going in that bat chat, trying to escape. They just weren't able to outrun that 113, and well, I mean, an M40-43 in this position, you're not going to get anything done. And Gorilla got himself an easy kill in the end. Bit of stat padding.
No worries for him, but we can see Spitz putting up 4k damage, doing work.
Now, that's what you want to see from the TVP, but the M40-43 actually got 1,600 damage off, so that's not too bad. And it's really going to be the other side of the scoreboard that's going to show us what went wrong for DarkWolves. Good contributions from Gorilla, Archon, and OBOV. Specifically, I think OBOV was really the one to look at there for Horsemen. He tanked quite a lot of damage, as well as dealing a lot of damage.
Yes, Sphinx and Hawks also putting up big numbers for themselves, but once again, keeping that internal tracker of Archon versus Sphinx. This puts Archon quite a ways ahead this time around for anyone that actually cares at home for that little
I think OBOV's gunning for #1 spot now as well.
He could be. He's been consistently top in the damage charts by the look of it.
Yeah, and Undesu not able to get really much out, and he was the one that went down pretty much straight off the bat there. Spencer did a pretty reasonable job in the 1390, a lot of spots from him. He did a good job of getting the information for Horsemen, but really the trouble there for DarkWolves was those three guys, Lambert, obviously on the bottom there for DarkWolves, not getting enough damage across, and a couple of the bat chats only getting 2 shots that connected and dealt damage. So at the end of that, all said and done, it's 3-1 now in the favor of Horsemen. Moving on to Ghost Town, it is again another one of Horsemen's picks, and I think that one is going to be pretty good for them as well. This was reasonably close on steps. There was chances for DarkWolves there, and I think it'll be kind of like that on Ghost Town as well, but again, I just feel like Horsemen are just going to have enough to get through. Yeah,
I always feel like Ghost Town's one of those maps where the better team really shines through like a blinding light. There's not a lot you can do when a team that is better than you mechanically, strategically, there's not a lot of like little cheese potentials, I'll call it for now, to kind of one-up your opponent. You got to play a perfect game essentially when you're up against just a stronger squad. Yeah,
it's definitely my favorite map of the pool. Like we've said so many times before, it's definitely designed for this kind of a mode, and I think that really lends itself to some very, very interesting matches. You know, there's something in it for everyone. There's something in it for the heavy tanks. There's something in for the lights and the mediums. Lots of area to move around the outside of that city, but then there is the city in the middle where the heavy tanks can really start to have their brawls.
It's a beautiful blend of those two.
It definitely is. And, you know, like...
Boosts as well?
Yeah, lots of boosts. Well, 1 or 2. Maybe not so many as like steps or mines or something like that. But yeah, it offers something for everyone. And obviously, you know, we see a lot of interesting fights around those flags. I especially like seeing those heavy tanks hull down on the northern flag, getting in there, getting the trades with the guys sitting on the corner. I think it really is just the best map in the pool.
Yeah, I really agree with you on that one. And it's teams that can utilize it. And what always is a problem when you have a very popular map that is good, that teams like to play on and is more beneficial if you're a better team, is that the lesser teams also like to pick it as well, and then that can fall into a trap, because going into a very popular map that everyone plays, and the teams that just do it better, you kind of got your back up against the wall immediately.
It really does feel like one of those maps where, like you said, the better team does win. It doesn't. You don't get cheesy sort of things like on Moravanka where, you know, you maybe get a few guys early onto that cap and it just catches the guys off guard and then, you know, snowballs from there. But on Ghost Town, there's so many avenues for the defensive team and for the attacking team that it really feels like the teams that understand the map a lot better are always, generally speaking, able to pull off the win there. So for me, like I said, I think this one's going to be reasonably close, but I still feel like Horsemen are going to be able to pull this one off. No problems at all. In terms of the tank picks coming out here, I don't expect to see anything super heavy coming out from Horsemen. I think they're going to focus maybe a little bit more on the 50Bs, maybe a bat chat or 2, bat chat APs. Maybe on the DarkWolves we might see a bit of a heavier lineup, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, that's one of the good things about Ghost Town, is it does cater to all. There's pretty much a spot for anyone, any type of tank you want to play. Ghost Town enables you to shine, really. We saw just before EL Gaming. I said there isn't room for cheesy strategies, but remember they get that very quick 3 people on the 2 cap and take it out in kind of 30 seconds flat there, but that's only if you're very, very confident, very bold in your strategy. But I agree with you on the Horsemen. They're going to be running quite a fast lineup this time around. We have seen teams like Coalition Zoo, they do like to run a few E100s, play for that cityscape rather than the outside desert areas, and there's even a boat on the map as well. It's got everything.
And it is going to be different though. I guess Horsemen starting off on the defensive side here. Maybe they're going to have a little bit of a slower lineup, maybe a couple of more heavies in that one. But you know, I don't expect, like you said, to be seeing any E100s, no mouse, maybe probably not even an IS-7 or an IS-4 or anything like that. I think the heaviest kind of tank that we'll probably see out of the Horsemen, if anything, will maybe be an FE215B or a FE215B, sorry, or a 113.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that one, and hopefully we do see teams play to their strengths and not kind of conform to what they think is the best, because that's something that's it plagues every game. Is when teams try to think, okay, this is what's the best for this map, let's just play that, rather than let's play what's strong. And that's one of the Coalition Zoo strengths, is they always like to play what they think is best. Sure, it doesn't work out for them every single time. They do need to add a little bit of variety to that one, maybe take some notes here and there from what's strong. But I do want to see DarkWolves, like we said at the start of the show, bring a little bit of their own flavor to these games.
And I guess really now the question for me here for Horsemen is, or what I'm going to be watching out for, is that they are able to close this one out. Because they're in a winning position. What we saw from them in Season 1 was they got into a decent position and they weren't able to close things out when they needed to. To see, I guess, the transformation from the Season 1 Horsemen to the Season 2 Horsemen, we really need to see them close this one out with a confident victory, a very comfortable victory, and really just close it out when they should, as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 rounds down the track and lose a point or something like that.
Yeah, they definitely have the potential to mess things up for themselves tonight, so hopefully they don't go down that road. I really want to see them live up to the expectations that we have set for them, and closed out quite convincingly here. But we know when things do go a little bit awry, they can fall to the DarkWolves. DarkWolves did take 1 round off in the very early stages and had the potential to in that last round. But like you mentioned, 2 dead drivers, not a lot they could do to run away.
I've said I think it's going to be a 2-0 for this one here on Ghost Town. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's going to go back to your original prediction of 5-2, or do you think I'm on the money with the 5-1?
I think DarkWolves have the potential. We've seen twice now that they have the potential to win it. That last one, it was just small mechanical errors that stopped them from getting that round. So I reckon if they play well, if they get that early pick, if they get the advantage, then they can get at least another round under their belt. Maybe even 2.
No.
Okay,
no. I don't think so. But
let's not go.
You're right. Like, they do have the potential. We've seen them a couple of times so far this series get the initial pick and, you know, then sort of
kind of
fall
blunder.
off. Yeah, like they haven't really been able to convert it into a round win. So I think if they get the initial pick here on Ghost Town, then they really need to focus in on trying to take that advantage and run with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because we mentioned when Horsemen, they get a kill, they immediately know how to capitalize, they immediately know who to focus, and there's not split damage, there's nothing like that. But last round when our DarkWolves got that, they kind of just floundered a little bit. But jumping into the tank pickup here, we mentioned DarkWolves maybe running something heavy, and I think you hit the dart right in the center.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like I've looked into the future a little bit.
You're getting good at this,
because DarkWolves have gone for a little bit of a heavier lineup. Horsemen have gone for a much lighter lineup with their heaviest tanks being the 113s, which are still quite a mobile and, well, I guess less armored heavy tank, as opposed to obviously an E100. The IS-7 coming out here for DarkWolves as well, and even the T10s to an extent, a pretty heavy armored tank for the DarkWolves. So a bit of a difference in style here, but what I do like to see here for Horsemen is those AMX-50Bs. 3 of them on the field. That is going to be a real trouble for DarkWolves, I feel.
I feel like this map definitely lets the AMX-50B shine the brightest.
Yeah.
We see it time and time again, always being at the top of the damage dealing, and it just excels so well on the cityscape that this map provides. And you can see straight off the bat, looks like we're going to be seeing both teams going for around that 1 cap at the moment. Revolution, he's very far behind the pack, so if DarkWolves get caught out here, this could be a very quick 6v7. UE
is heading in straight in towards the 1 flag, along with his teammates Spitz and Gomley. So I see the strategy here from DarkWolves. They're going to try and get those heavy tanks into hull down positions, get some early points on that cap timer, and see if they can force Horsemen into some sort of a mistake. Archon already on the reload here, but he should get his reload well and truly in time for the next brawl to start. Hawks as well is clipping, so Horsemen, once they come off these reloads in these AMX-50Bs, are going to need to try and get that reset going, because they've only got 30 seconds to work with. They have left Spencer up on the boost. He can get some pretty good resets in towards those tanks, but I'm not so sure how easy of a time he's going to have when he's obviously going to be shooting mostly at the turrets of those tanks. Horsemen have decided to take the brawl in the city, but they're going to need to win this, and quickly.
Yeah, this is looking grim here. Horsemen, let's get a quick listen in to see how they act in this really stressful situation.
在试了，
那个
他们出去
他妈出去了，谁能人设？100收掉，能收掉，他们出去了，不要人设。
没弹哦。
收5T，收5T。
我会收，我会收。
还有10秒，还有10秒，还有10秒，我还有10秒。
我打我。
你有没有蛋可以收？你有没有蛋可以收啊？
没有，我吹颗。
你把他推上来，我可以打他。哦，算了，我去打别人了。
你屁股。我先跑了。
打死了，目标打死了。可以再帮一把。
哦，为什么这场集团率这么差啊？
他的鸡蛋，他的鸡蛋，他的鸡蛋。
打2发。
It looks like Horsemen did mount the correct defense. It was looking a little bit dicey when DarkWolves had all 3 on that hill, and it was about 50% of the way up. But cooler heads prevail as Horsemen should be taking this one out quite cleanly.
I just want to point out that really nice play from Hawks there when he was dueling that Batchat of Batcong. He kind of knew that the Batchat didn't have the gun depression to shoot him if he had gone down, so he just, you know, fell back a little bit there and, you know, obviously survived. He was only 1 shot away from death, so good from him to be able to survive that long. But yeah, really great focus fire early on in the piece. Just as we went into that that little bit of listen in for Horsemen, we saw them just absolutely wreck one of those E100s straight off the field. And that's exactly what they needed to do. They took the fight in the city when they knew that they didn't have a lot of time to work with. They put a lot of faith in Spencer to get those resets, and he did get the resets that he needed to give the Horsemen enough time, but they also won that fight in the city. So it was excellent play by the Horsemen, really well coordinated as a team, and putting a lot of faith in their teammates.
Yeah, I feel like coordination is something that the Horsemen have showcased to such higher degrees tonight. Constantly being able to focus out the correct targets, making sure that anytime someone's out of position, they stay out of position. They don't get away. They're not surviving the barrage that comes through. And like you mentioned, confidence in their teammates as well. Spencer, he had a lot of pressure on him to get those resets, but they had faith in their player to be able to do that while they took care of the rest of the maps. So props to Horsemen.
Exactly, and now, again, another difficult time for DarkWolves. They're 1 round away from getting a 5-1 defeat, which would be a pretty crushing defeat. And in reality, you know, they may have been even a little bit lucky to get that 1 round on Muravanka. Horsemen have looked so good throughout this one. So let's have a look and see how things went over there on Ghost Town. I want to have a look and see how that fight, and this is what I was talking about. Lambert just got absolutely wrecked, and barely anyone else on the side of Dark was taking any damage. Yui took 1 shot, then they focus on Caviar, and then Gomli goes down, and now Revolution taking the fire. And, you know, the focus fire was so good from Horsemen. They got the damage into the targets that they needed to, and obviously, as well, the resets that they needed to get. It was, you know, pretty much how they needed to play it, and they executed it well.
Yeah, Horsemen really cementing themselves as one of the top teams here and just showcasing why they are able to do that with such efficiency, and it's a amazing target fire that they have. They come into these games with the advantages of teamwork, and it's just showcased time and time again. You can see Gorilla, Nundasu, and Hawks actually. Some new names up to the top of the list this time around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nundasu was up there once or twice. Gorilla occasionally. Hawks we haven't seen so much from tonight, but getting a good job done in that AMX 50B. Archon as well chiming in, and really a tier 9 tank there for DarkWolves up towards the top of the scoreboard for them. Obviously didn't get focused down so hard by the Horsemen, but you want to be seeing the Batchats maybe getting a little bit more damage across, or the E100s even. Lambert didn't get any damage across in his E100, you know, so that's just not quite where it needs to be for them.
Hopefully for this next round.
Have a look at that. By the way, Spencer, 13 shots fired, 64 damage dealt, so I'd say he probably got maybe 2 or 3 resets in that RU-251, firing heat at like the turrets of the IS-7 and the T-10. But that's 64.
All you need.
That's 64 very, very, very important damage.
That's the most important 64 damage.
Also, he got a kill.
Impressive stuff. Spencer.
What a champ. What a champ. Getting the job done in the tier 8 tank.
Backs up against the wall, though, now for DarkWolves, that they find themselves 4-1 down to Horsemen, who are only 1 round away from taking this series in a very convincing fashion. Hopefully for the DarkWolves, they can mount somewhat of a comeback here, and because right now they're out of options, they're out of chances. This is a last-ditch effort offense onto Ghost Town. What are we expecting to see here, do you think, Jordan?
They're actually going to be on the defense.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
They started on the offense, but again, I think we're going to see some heavy tanks coming out here. Might be a little bit better on the defensive side when they don't need to rotate so much around. And they can't necessarily get outflanked so easily. But I do want to see maybe an extra AMX 50B or 2, perhaps in place of the Batchats that they had there.
Sure.
Maybe turn the 2 T10s into tier 9 bat chats and turn the tier 10 bat chats into AMX 50Bs. I think that's going to
Okay.
give them a little bit more firepower in that roster and, you know, similar amounts of mobility because the bat chats are just going to be replaced with bat chat APs. So we'll see what they do, but I think that's kind of the best of both worlds. They'll still have the heavy tanks, the E100s, they can soak the damage, but they'll have the damage to follow it up as well, which I just don't feel like they necessarily had with those T10s, and the bat chats weren't really able to get involved in the fight too well.
There's unfortunate stuff when it just comes down to not having the correct tanks on the field, because that's such an easy thing you can fix up. It's what are you confident in? What do you want to play on the map? What can you play on the map? And we mentioned one of the pros of Ghost Town is it takes all kinds. It's pretty much any style that you want to play. Ghost Town allows you to do so. But questions will be answered immediately as we do have the tank lineups ready for you guys.
Let's have a look and see. DarkWolves have gone for at least one AMX 50B.
They got one.
They've still kept those bat chats and they've still kept the T10s. It's a pretty much unchanged roster for the Horsemen.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I'm happy with their roster. I'm still not so sure about this one for the DarkWolves. I mean, I like the T10s, but I probably would prefer to see WZ111s here on Ghost Town.
Okay.
I feel like they offer a bit more of a damage threat, but maybe DarkWolves just a little bit more comfortable in the T10s. Really, they've just swapped the IS-7 for a 50B, which is going to give them a bit more damage on the field, but I'm just not sure it's going to be enough. We need to see something probably out of the E100. Definitely more than no shots done by Lambert. He needs to connect at least one or two, and then maybe DarkWolves can think about what's going on here. But Horsemen on the attack, I'm sure are not going to be too keen to let that happen.
You can see Archon and Nundasu down in the bottom quadrants of the map, and Archon covering the names of one of the players. Pretty sure that's...
It's the other heavy tank.
Yeah.
Gorilla. Oh, well, there's a lot of heavy tanks.
It's someone, right?
It's someone.
But they are quite spread out. Spencer
I think it's
gets
OBOV.
spotted. Yeah. The DarkWolves as well. They've kind of got their majority of their forces down around D5 here. You can see Revolution at that H1, J1 quadrants there. So they will be able to spot out those three players from Horsemen if they go a little bit too aggressive here. Backong trying to get a few spots out. Not going to see anyone off the initial though. You can see Gorilla going to start the cap onto the one flag here.
Yep,
How do Horsemen react?
It's pretty much the only tank that they can put on the flag here. I mean, maybe you could put Spencer in the IU-251, see if he can hide, but I much prefer to see the heavy tanks on this one flag. That's why I'm a fan of the WZ-111s. 113 pretty much fulfills the same role. I would, you know, maybe favor an IS-7 if you're going to have a tank on that flag. I think it offers a little bit more protection on the turret, but it is what it is. I'm sure the 113 could fulfill the role as well, and DarkWolves not off to a great start here, bleeding a couple of early shots. Sphinx now finding himself caught out by a couple of those T10s, but he does manage to trade a couple of shots back, and Hawks in the AMX 50B now starting to get involved. Yui is very low.
Yeah, Yui just gets demolished out of that one, but backs up against the wall, looking to make a play. Let's have a listen with the DarkWolves.
얼른 진압하고 이쪽에서 오니까 이쪽으로 각 잡아줘야 돼 얘들아. 진정하고 빨리 차체 틀어. 방어 준비해. 온다. 그쪽 다 털어 먹어야 돼. 거기 정리가 안 돼. 왜 이렇게 얘들아 피해 너무 커 지금. 정리해야 돼 앞에 거. 저거 살려놓으면 우리 가두량식 당한다 지금.
야 안돼 200이 익녀야 지금. 스피치 앞으로.
야, 나 이거 잘리겠는데?
오공비 돈다.
지금 저쪽에 바사 돌거든?
내 쪽에 받쳐줄 수 있냐?
가고 있어.
야, 이거. 아,
오공비 온다.
한 발.
아이씨. 졌네.
200이 너무 느린 게 이렇게 도구로 작용을 하네 이건. 판단은 잘했는데.
오공비 탄 없다. 아이고.
Unfortunately for DarkWolves, it looks like their journey is coming to an end tonight. Caviar and Spitz, the last two players remaining. Spitz gets himself a souvenir kill for the ride home as
Here comes Archon. Farming that damage. He wants the damage. So does OBOV.
They're both trying to go for it.
They're coming off the reload. Archon's going to be a little bit quicker, so he might get a couple of shells in here. Oh, he's going to be so keen with this. Look at this. Padding them stats. It's OBOV in the end to get the job done. But all in all, a really good performance from the Horsemen.
Oh, definitely.
What I wanted to see from them tonight, and
they delivered.
They've definitely delivered. I mean, they're now 3-0 today and last week, so I think that you know, they're really setting themselves up for a good season here in WGL.
I'm looking forward to see what they can bring to the competition throughout the rest of the season here, because obviously we are still very early days, and they've got quite a road ahead of them if they want to contest that number 2 spot. Hell, Why not stop there? Go for that number 1 spot, Horseman. The sky
Wishful
is the
thinking,
limit.
Wishful thinking, I think.
Well, look, they're playing quite well. They've got the coordination down. If they can just get their accuracy up a few more notches, maybe even play a little bit more aggressive to match EL.
I don't know. I mean, look, to me, EL Gaming's just on another level. I don't think anyone's catching EL this season.
It only takes one.
It does only take
It
one.
only takes one team to beat EL, and then all of a sudden they're so beatable.
I feel like I'm the only realist on this commentary team.
Look, you're a realist. I'll give you that. I'll give you that EL are hands down the best team. But if teams go into their games thinking that they can't beat EL, then they're never going to beat EL. They need to come into the games with confidence that they can do it. They can't see them as this unkillable, tank-driving, destroying machine. They need to come into it with an open mind and some bloody optimism on the desk. Come on, guys.
Well, you know what? That's exactly what EL Gaming are. When you look at them, they just destroy everyone.
They do.
Look, when we get to the Horsemen versus EL matchup later on
we'll try to call dibs on that one.
We'll have a chat about it then, because I think we're going to be seeing something well in the favor of Horsemen. But
in the favor of Horsemen?
Sorry, in the favor of EL Gaming.
His subconscious
You
is
and
getting
Alex
to
have
him.
started to bleed into
We did
more
it, Alex.
It's no good. It's no good. But I think we've got the post-battle stats
Yeah.
ready. So let's stop digressing too much and have a look and see how things went there for Horsemen. Archon, he did get himself up towards the scoreboard there, but I think he got 2 or 3 free shots towards the end. So good stuff from Gorilla and Hawks, though, again showing themselves to be strong players for Horsemen here on Ghost Town.
Yeah, once again, it just comes down to their picture-perfect coordination. They know how to take out a tank when it's overextended. They don't flounder and decide to go for 2 or 3 to, maximize their damage spread. They know the importance of taking a tank off the map, and it's just something that DarkWolves say were really lacking. You could see they did a lot of damage to every single tank on the field, but they were just really struggling to get those kills, to get those secures.
Again, on the other side of the scoreboard, it's 1 shot coming out of Revolution, 1 shot from Yui, 2 shots from Batkong, 2 shots from Lambert. It's just not enough, really. They need to be getting those extra shots out. And, well, Horsemen doing a good job, as you said, of focusing down those tanks, not allowing them the chance to get those shots across. So, really quite impressed with how Horsemen are playing this season. Not as impressed as I am by EL. And a little bit of a caveat at the end there. But, look, good stuff for Horsemen. I think they're going to be in with a very good chance this season of making top 4.
No, without a doubt. They're playing quite well, and I'm really looking forward to see how they do for the rest of the season. And coming up next, we got an amazing game as well. Meltdown taking on Karen Tiger. Both these teams have also racked up 2 wins apiece, so really looking forward to seeing how that one goes. I do believe it'll be you and Alex taking the reins on that one, so I'll get the best seat in the house over in the old station.
The observer desk. If there's any poor observing, make sure to direct it at this guy.
That's not my fault. No, not me.
Yeah. Well, look, it is going to be a very good matchup, I think. It's a top-of-the-table clash, really, at the moment. Karen Tiger have, for me, improved upon their skill or their play from last season. They seem like a stronger lineup. Meltdown, I'm still a little bit undecided on, but I think at the very least they're at the same level as they were last season, which was up there, top 2, top 3 sort of thing. Whether or not they're going to be able to take it over Karen Tiger here is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a reasonably close one. I'm probably backing Meltdown through this, but again, it could go either way.
I think when you, I, and Alex were discussing how these games are going to go down, we were all very excited for this matchup in particular.
This is probably going to be the best matchup tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, look, we've seen 2 5-1s and a 5-0, so hopefully something going to be a little bit closer coming out here between Meltdown and Karen Tiger.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing how this one goes down, and not too much longer to wait on that one, I hope.
Yeah, should be a pretty good one. Let's have a look at the post-match stats for that one between Horsemen and Coalition Zoo. No, Horsemen and DarkWolves, sorry. It was actually Gorilla up the top there, but Archon has got his wish. He's out-damaged Sphinx. Yeah, Sphinx didn't have a great, he didn't have a poor day today, but he just wasn't up there towards the top like we generally expect him to see. OBOV again putting in another good performance.
Oh, yeah, without
for the Horsemen.
Yeah, Spitz and Gomley on the side of DarkWolves doing work. Gomley much better today than yesterday. I do believe he had an average damage of 100 in yesterday's game.
Yeah, it was like 170 or something like that.
So really putting in work tonight, and that's great to see. Just stepping up, unfortunately not far enough, but that falls onto the rest of the team. But you can see Lambert and Yui, Lambert especially, not having a great game tonight.
No, especially considering he was in the E100 a few times.
Yeah, of course.
he didn't even get one shot across every game. Otherwise, he'd have been up towards 700, 750 sort of somewhere. But yeah, just again, a sorry state of affairs really for the DarkWolves, but really good stuff from Horsemen. It does put DarkWolves again down towards the bottom of the scoreboard, but boosts Horsemen up just a little bit. So starting to get a bit of a gauge on how our standings are going to look throughout this season.
Yeah, and the standings are incredibly close right now. We've seen a lot of teams, especially the top 4 right now, and you've got down in that 5th spot, Team Efficiency kind of vying for that one. But something that is going to set the tables a little bit more in cement is the game coming up next. Karen Tiger versus Meltdown. We'll have that for you guys